Iraq the first time, they hired their own company to go in on a $500 million government contract.
The capitalist problem is not my issue. The problem is wait.
I'm asking you if they're noble, not if they're capitalist.
Is Schultz, I didn't say noble, I didn't call those people noble. I'm talking about Bush Jr.
You're talking about Bush Jr.
I'm sorry to say, I do think Casper Weinberger is a scheming person. I do think George Bush Sr. is greatly lacking. I do think, in fact, that, but I do think Schultz was a fairly noble person. He was a Marine Corps veteran. He's a Marine Corps veteran who saw service in World War II, and he had a lot of decency about him. Who was the fourth person that you mentioned?
Schultz, Weinberger, Reagan, and Bush.
I can't speak for Reagan. He's a movie actor. I don't know what he represented, whether he was good or bad. He was an actor, so it's impossible for me to speak. But Schultz, I wouldn't call a schemer, and I think the people around Bush are really motivated by trying to protect you, even though they're doing perhaps not the best job possible.
And all I'm saying is that most of us see them as for-profiteers.
I don't care what most of you see them as.
I know you don't care, and that's why none of us support you guys.
I don't care. Well, the point is, you don't represent the heartland of this country, fortunately. Because I don't think the heartland of the country sees these people.
I don't think they think that much.
Most of us see them. What'd you say? Most of us see them.
I think that.
Most of us see them as what in this country? What'd you say we see them?
I said I don't think the heartland.
No, what did you say we see them as? Most
war profiteers. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I quit at that point. There are some who would be conceived of, but I don't think you can speak of. I'm not a great admirer of Condoleezza Rice. I think she's an innocent person, though. I don't think she's necessarily a great, strategist. I don't think. What's his name? The guy Cheney and these guys. You may consider them war profiteers, but I think they are patriotic people. Whether you like them or not, their strategies are misguided, and so on. So I mean, to insult them and call them all these horrible names is that's like what the communists used to do. That's
I think they think they're patriotic, and I'm happy to sit down and tea with them and talk about them about their
I think they're trying to be patriotic, and maybe they're misguided patriots. But
and very greedy.
A person like Clinton, who we all admired because he was so intelligent and we thought he was doing such a great job. At the time, people were very happy with his presidency.
He was limp on
we find out that he was, missing a lot of important things because of personal considerations, and he wasn't as patriotic as one would have wanted him to be.
I agree with that.
So, these things only come out in retrospect. So I would not impugn. I wouldn't impugn these other guys who are making mistakes. I grant you they're making mistakes, but I'm not sure they're unpatriotic and not trying to do the best they can.
Or they didn't think.
Okay, they stole an election. I'll give you that one. Okay.
Two, actually, if you count one.
I don't think the second one was stolen, but
there's a lot about Ohio that's
Ohio. Okay, that could be, but the popular vote was pretty resounding, and I think Kerry was probably not a very effective candidate. So I don't think that we can say that they stole that one so obviously as.
Not so obviously, sure. But they weren't trying. Fell off a truck. And
all right. So now then, back to the original point. The rights situation. He said, can contracts and agreements produce perfect rights as well as compulsory duties unless imperfect rights and duties of contract have previously existed? I don't know what he's saying there.
I don't either.
Is your translation better on that than mine?
I have no idea.
Where are you?
A and B there. It's in chapter 2. Well, let's go on here and see if we can get it. So now. He goes on about the Mosaic religion. Let me now proceed to a far more important objection which has been raised against my position. I don't know if you can find that. Without refuting my arguments, people claim that my views contradict the sacred authority of the Mosaic religion. And so now he is going on to speak that the laws of Moses, I think he's going to say here at some point, what page is this now, the laws of Moses? Hey, okay, so we finally... the Mosaic religion, what is it if not a system of religious government, of religious power and rights? So he's going on to try to decide whether the laws of Moses are abusive in some way, I think is what he's trying to say. And he quotes several people here, which we don't really have time to go into all of that. So, Finally, he concludes on that particular presentation, the objection goes right to my heart and troubles me deeply. I must confess that this view of Judaism, except for some careless formulation, is shared by many of my co-religionists, but I am convinced it is not true. What is the view of religion that he's talking about? If such an obvious contradiction existed between the Word of God and my reason, if this actually existed, I would be able to silence, I would probably be able to silence my reason. So he says, if there was a contradiction between the Mosaic religion and my reason, I would probably, in the end, because of my loyalty to my culture and people, be able to silence my reason. So finally, he gives you an important quote. What is the quote here saying here that I missed here? That the objection to the Mosaic religion that is in these quotes. Can you summarize it, any of you? Because I don't want to read the whole thing to find it out here. No, okay, you can't. I think one of the quotes, though, here, talking about the arm of the church being so powerful, the implementation of this curse from Deuteronomy he's talking about was put in the hands of the highest servants of the church. Clearly, ecclesiastical law armed with coercive power has always been one of the cornerstones of the Jewish religion and a principal article of the religious system of your fathers. So I thought that was the objection. Someone is saying, how can you then, dear Mr. Mendelssohn, continue to adhere to a coercive faith, is what he's saying, that your faith was always blessing and curse, coercive. And he's saying, well, if it was really that way, I don't really think it is, but if it was really that way, I'd probably be able to silence my reason. You think he's going to say the opposite thing. But the interesting thing is that in Mendelssohn, the very delicate balance between respect for the religion and reason position was still operating. It was held in check. By the next generation and the one after that, it just broke completely. And I'm not saying that's bad or good, I'm just stating a fact. So therefore, all his children and grandchildren converted to Christianity. So that delicate balance between loyalty and so on for the religion of the fathers, etc., was totally broken. Here you're getting him showing that delicate balance here. He says, I could silence my reason if I had to. So if I thought that if it was true that Judaism was coercive, like you're saying, I probably still wouldn't abandon it, is probably what he's saying. Yeah?
On that quote you mentioned about